Indonesia's separatist rebels have killed an American pilot and sent a civilian plane ablaze. Well, the incident has once again drawn global attention to the decades-long conflict in Papua. The West Papua Liberation Army, also known as TPNPB, claimed responsibility. The group said its fighters shot down the plane before setting it on fire on Thursday. There were 8 people on board. The pilot, American national Captain Nicholas F. Gosselin, was killed. Images from the scene show the charred wreckage of the plane on the remote airstrip.
Today on Thursday, July 2nd, 2026, my soldiers and I shot down and burned a plane and shot the pilot. This is all me and my troops. If you want to find us, find us. Do not comb through civilians.
The rebel group claimed that the aircraft was carrying Indonesian troops, but Indonesia's military rejected that claim. According to the armed forces, all 7 passengers were indigenous Papuan civilians, including 3 women. They survived the attack without injury. The dispute has only deepened questions about what really happened in Papua's remote highlands. The rebels then released a video to reinforce their message. Armed men carrying rifles and axes stood beneath the Morning Star flag, the symbol of Papuan independence. And in the video, the group warned both the Indonesian and US governments.
Police and the military must not go to Safan and Ninian districts. If you want to evacuate the pilot's body, then the president, the Yahukimo Regent Didymus Yahuli, and the chief of parliament must come by themselves. Evacuate his body without the military and the police.
As the rebels celebrated, Indonesian forces moved in. The military confirmed that Captain Gosselin's body has now been recovered during a special rapid seizure operation. Security forces have also launched a manhunt for those responsible for the shooting and the arson. Pilots have now been warned to avoid what the military calls the red zones of West Papua.
Today we successfully evacuated the body of the late pilot Captain Nicholas F. Gosselin, who was shot yesterday by the West Papua National Liberation Army. We should have carried out the evacuation yesterday if the weather had been good. But as you can see from yesterday, until now the weather has not been supportive, so it was only this morning that it could be done.
The rebel group spokesperson, Sebi Sambom, defended the attack. He said the aircraft ignored the group's ban on civilian flights in areas under its control. He also claimed that civilian planes had been used to transport Indonesian troops and military supplies into remote parts of Papua. According to him, the American pilot continued flying despite repeated warnings. Those claims, however, could not be independently verified. This attack is part of a much bigger conflict, though. For decades, separatist fighters have battled Indonesian security forces in resource-rich Papua. The violence has intensified in recent years. With better armed rebels carrying out deadlier attacks, foreign pilots have increasingly become targets. There's been no immediate response from the US Embassy in Jakarta or from the airline AMA Papua. Well, this is not the first time. In August 2024, TPNPB fighters killed New Zealand pilot Glenn Malcolm after his helicopter landed in a remote village in Nika. Just a year earlier, in February 2023, another New Zealand pilot, Philip Mertens, was kidnapped after landing in Nduga. He was held for more than a year before being released in September 2024. Well, the latest attack follows a pattern that has repeatedly put civilian aviation in the crosshairs of the insurgency. Papua was incorporated into Indonesia in 1969 after a United Nations-backed vote that remains deeply contested by many Papuans and pro-independence groups. They argue that the vote was neither free nor democratic. They allege that representatives were under pressure from the Indonesian military. They also say the wider Papuan population was not allowed to vote directly. This disagreement has resulted in repeated clashes, attacks, and civilian casualties. Well, now, more than 5 decades later, that dispute is still being fought, not just through politics, but with guns. And with foreign pilots now in the crosshairs, Papua's conflict is no longer just Indonesia's concern.
First Post reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alison LaGrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global South. Join me every weekday live on First Post.